Good evening, everyone. You're welcome to tonight's session. Um, so glad to have you all here, and I believe it's going to be an awesome time of learning again for every one of us tonight. All right. So let me share the link to ensure that everyone is aware that I'm now live, so that they can join the session. You're welcome. If you are just joining, you can just let me know your name, where you are joining from, and your expectation from tonight's session. You are welcome if you are just joining us tonight. While we wait for many others to join, I'm just going to play some background music before we get started tonight. So we'll be starting very, very soon. I am still waiting for many more people to join us live so we can get into the business of the day. All right. Okay, guys, so you're welcome to tonight's session, and we'll be considering a very, very important topic, which is the audacity of vision, right? And I subtitled it Daring the Impossible Demanded by Destiny. And I think this topic is actually was inspired by some thoughts that I wrote some days ago. So I observed that yesterday, no, was it 3 days ago or 4 days ago, was made it a year since I made it public that I was starting a, a project which I did when I was serving as a core member in for local government. However, 2 weeks or 3 weeks before, I was speaking with someone, right, my successor when I was president in the union, and he also, had this vision, and I was just mentoring him and sharing strategies that he could use to achieve the success and achieve his goals with the projects that he is currently trying to start, right? Then it occurred to me that Smart Gen Initiative, which was the project that I started or I did, yes, it's still an ongoing project, but I started it when I was serving as a U core member. It took one thing, and that was the audacity of vision. So I thought that if I can share this with someone, if someone else can hear it, they will be audacious enough to pursue their life visions and to fulfill their destiny. So the goal for tonight's session is to push you and impact within you the courage to pursue that dream, that vision, that burning passion within you, and go at it and ensure that you achieve those goals, those visions, and just live a fulfilled life. Because I think there's nothing greater than destiny fulfillment. Nothing. Because that's the essence of your creation. So if you're living a life and it's not according to what was written about, it's just as well as not living at all, right? So if you are joining, please you can just indicate in the comment section your name and where you are joining from, and also do well to share this with your friends and invite them to join the live session, right? We can be more than this. We can be more than this because many people need to hear this, right? This is one of the secrets that has made me who I am today and is also preparing me for who I will be, right? And if you go and check every great person, audacity is one character that they all possess. Now, I'm going to start this session tonight by giving us a little exercise. I want you to close your eyes and you just imagine. I want to ask you some questions. Just close your eyes and just imagine. What would you attempt if you were not afraid of looking foolish? That's the first question. The second question is, what would you build if you were not afraid of failing publicly? The third question is, what would you start if you stopped waiting for permission? So I need you to answer these three questions. The first question is, what would you attempt? I want you to imagine, what would you attempt if you were not afraid of looking foolish? You cared less about what people will adjective people will call you or will use to qualify you. What would you build if you were not afraid of failing publicly? If you cared less about the outcome of the action you're taking? And what would you start if you stop waiting for permission? If you stop waiting for approval from people, from your siblings, from your friends, from your mentor, or whosoever? The question is, what would you have started if you were not waiting for approval? You see, the truth is that most people are not limited by intelligence. Many of us, we are limited by our background and by our resources. So it's not that we don't have the vision inside of us, it's not that we are not motivated, it's not that we are unclear about what we want out of life, it's not that we lack the capacity. But the major limitation many of us are facing is a lack of what? Resources and our history. So we believe because no one has ever done it in our lineage, no one around us has ever achieved those goals, we believe that we are not qualified enough to pursue those dreams, to pursue those goals. And because we don't have the capacity, you are not a Nepo baby, you don't know anyone. So because you don't have those resources in your hands, you feel that you are not good enough for that vision and you are not capable to pursue those dreams and turn them into reality. But one thing we must understand is that it does not take provision to start a vision, it takes proactiveness and a firm belief in that vision. So you don't need to have the provision. Provision would meet you at the point of your proactiveness towards the vision that you have imbibed in your heart, or the visions that is burning in your heart. So when we are saying that you have to be audacious, it is because that is what your destiny needs. Now, understand that, and I need to, it is important that I clarify that vision is not I hope. It's not something you are hoping to. Vision is not what you are just imagining. It's not something that you feel that let's just see what happens. Vision is not even excitement. It is conviction. I always define vision as the picture of the future you want to feature in the nearest future. I don't know if you guys got it. I just like to play with words. I don't know whether I read it in a book or something, but that definition has stayed with me for years. So the simplest way I define vision to people is a picture of a future you want to feature in the nearest future. Who got that? If you got that, write it in the comment section. I'm waiting, I'm waiting. You're welcome, Amara Chuku Grace from Anambra. If you are joining us for this session tonight, you can just type your name and where you're joining us from. Your name and where you are joining from. Give me a minute, I will join you back now. Okay, guys, I'm back now. So I want to confirm that you can actually hear me clearly and you can see me clearly. So as I was saying, I said vision is a picture of the future you want to feature in the nearest future, right? So now, vision is a conviction. It is not something you're guessing. You're not trying to play with words, you're not trying to play with things. You have that firm belief. It is a burning desire placed in your heart by God. And one thing I've actually observed is that vision evolves per time, right? So there are some seasons in your life that there are some things that it will just be placed in your heart. When you go to sleep at night, those images continues to play in your mind. It could be that you're trying to solve a problem. It could be that you're trying to launch something. That's vision. So it is a deep and sometimes irrational belief that your life must mean more. It is that burning sensation that you have, even though you have achieved a goal or you're doing fairly well, but you are not contented by your current circumstances or your current situation or your current achievement. You just have it at the back of your mind and you just believe firmly that there is more. You can actually do more than what you're currently doing and what you're currently achieving based on your current situations. So that's what vision is. It is that demand upon you that your existence can actually express more. And one thing I want you to understand is that when we talk about vision, vision places a huge demand upon your life. It unsettles you. And oftentimes, at the point whereby you cut that vision, it will most likely look impossible. It looks unrealistic. It looks irrational. So even when you try to communicate it with someone else, maybe your fellow relative or your friends, it will look as if what you are trying to imagine or what you are trying to convey through words, the picture that you're trying to paint based on your current reality, is more than you and it is impossible. And vision will always stretch you. And one thing I want you to understand is that if the vision that you have inside of you does not stretch you, I doubt whether it is truly a vision from God. Because one thing vision does is to stretch you to destiny. Because your destiny is your destination. Your destiny is a summation of your purpose and the visions that you have. So oftentimes, your vision will stretch you until you reach your destination in life. And if you are trying to go from point A to point B, you must understand that what you have at your current point A is not enough to take you to point B. So that's what this vision will now do. It will now stretch you. It's just like you are holding a rubber band. The capacity of that rubber band is not unveiled until it is stretched. So that's what vision does. You have a lot of potential inside of you, a lot of capacity inside of you, rare gems and treasure locked up inside of you, but you are unaware of those things. But when visions is implanted into your heart, it will now begin to stretch you. You begin to expand, you begin to stretch, you begin to open new layers of yourself, layers and potential abilities that you never knew that it was within you. But because of vision, vision activates those potential, activates those abilities, activates those hidden treasures from dormancy into active usage. But the problem is that when vision is implanted in our hearts, many of us will shrink to our environment. We shrink to family expectations. We shrink to economic ceilings. We shrink to the opinions of small rooms. We shrink to avoid criticisms. So, because no one has ever done it in our family, and that vision is born inside of our hearts, we believe that it is unachievable. We believe it is unrealistic, so we shrink back. So, instead of us to stretch like a rubber band, we remain that normal state. We stay in that realm of normalcy because we have never handled that sum of money. Maybe none in our lineage has even ever had that sum of money. We shrink back and say, this thing is unachievable. This is fantasy. This is infatuation. We have forgotten that for every vision that God has implanted inside of you, God has already made provision for it. Now, you must understand that you are a source, you have a source, you are a resource. So if God is actually asking you to do something, He will always make provision. It will always make resources available for that vision that He has given to you. Now, you must understand that you cannot carry a big vision with a small mindset. You can't. Your current situation or your current life circumstances is a sum total of the mind that you have over the years. And our mindset is informed by four major things: one, our experiences, our education, our exposure, and the fourth thing, it is our giftings and our abilities. These are the things that informs our mindsets, where you schooled and what you were taught, where you grew up, where you've been to, the kind of information that you've been exposed to, and your natural inclination. When I say your natural inclination, what I mean to say is that, right, some of us, we find some things, our giftings, our abilities, even though someone feels that it is impossible for them, but because it's your natural giftings, you can do it easily. So those kind of things that you can do easily makes you to feel that this thing is possible. But anything beyond that will feel that that thing is impossible. Now, one thing I would always want us to understand or want you to know is that destiny will demand what comfort refuses. You can't bet your vision dwelling in the realm of comfort. See, when a woman wants to give birth into having a baby, what will happen is that that woman will go through a 9 month period of conception, and that 9 months is always not comfortable. Or let me go back a little bit. You know that the process that leads to conception is always, in quotes, easy. It is always from pleasure, right? Both the man and woman, they are enjoying themselves before they actually conceive, except if they had, some issues, delay in conception. But naturally, all things being equal, you always observe that it is pleasure that actually led to conception. But for you to bet what has been conceived, one, you have to go through a 9 months of readjustment. The taste bud of the woman will change. Their activities will change. The energy level will change. In fact, many things that the woman actually derive pleasure in, you just observe the moment the woman gets, pregnant, she begins to reject those things. The kind of foods. Oh, this one is even our best food. But you just observe all of a sudden, she stops eating those food and she starts craving something else that naturally, if not for the pregnancy, she wouldn't like to eat those things. But the highest point of comfort is that point of birthing, whereby she wants to give birth. She will groan, she will labor until eventually she's able to give birth to that child. And that's the same thing that happens for everyone. So the point at which you conceive that vision I'm telling you, it is the easiest point. But the point at which you want to give birth to that vision, the point of conception, that point of conception to the point of birthing, there's a huge process that would require discomfort from us. You are welcome, Mr. Benga from Gombe. Thank you so much for joining tonight's session. It is always very discomforting for that woman. That's the same thing for you if you want to bet your vision. So you must understand that if your vision is not costing you, that means your vision is not big enough. If you can still dwell in the realm of comfort, the realm whereby nothing is changing, your diet is not changing, your routine is not changing, it means that you must go back and revalidate the vision that you truly say that you are having. Because of a truth, if it's truly a vision, it must shift you. It will require that you discipline yourself, whereas there is distraction all over the places. Now, for instance, because of the vision I have for myself tonight, I have to discipline myself to come on this live session. In fact, I was with my cousin, and we were just enjoying ourselves. I had to tell him, I said, I have a live session tonight, so I have to leave what we were doing, enjoying ourselves, and come and teach tonight, even though it was not comfortable. That's discipline. Vision will also require courage, even though nobody is actually giving you the support morally, financially. Nobody is even approving of that thing, because every one of them has only dwelt in the realm of comfort. So, what you are envisioning for yourself, they have never imagined it before, they've never seen it before. So, they will give their disapproval to what you're trying to do, but you must actually have that courage to pursue it. Now, let me share an example with you guys. Now, I remember that when I became very, very intentional with all these things I'm doing online was in 2022, right? And because of the responsibility I was having then, I was president in school. Then I started building my brand online. And I had a lot of meetings. And this was not even about what I was doing online. I think it was because of the leadership positions I was holding in school. So I had a lot of meetings that I had to travel out, from states, which was Niger to, southeast, and all those states. And if you've lived in the north before, or if you've lived in the south and you travel down north, or you live in the south and you travel, to the north, you would know that Sorry, I don't know what happened to my network, so I just had to switch network. Right. Apologies for that. So, as I was saying, it's demanded that I traveled, but because of the insecurity of the nation, right? My dad didn't want that for me. It wasn't secure. So, but I had to travel without his approval. I had to take that bold step, and I stayed back in school, right, for close to 2 years. And I was continually pursuing the vision I had. Now, when I'm speaking with my dad, he feels very proud of me currently because of who I have become. And that's the same thing that vision will always require from you. It would demand courage, even though you want applause. Also, vision will demand that you become consistent, even though nobody is clapping for you. You know, it is very, very hard, right? When you're just starting something new. For instance, I'm using myself as an example. I just started my YouTube channel, right? And the result hasn't been so great, even though I've grown, right? It hasn't been so great coming to live session and seeing few number of people, joining the live session. It isn't very, very encouraging. I can as well give up or say I'm no longer doing. But I know that this is how visions are bettered. So instead of me to be discouraged, I am encouraged because I know that this thing is going to compound over the months, over the years, as long as I remain consistent. So vision will always require that you remain consistent, even though there is no applause. Vision will also demand from you that you take action when there is no guarantee of a favorable outcome. That there's nothing. See, one thing is that nothing is guaranteed in life. That's one thing you must understand. Your own is to take the necessary action and just have a firm belief that things are going to work out for your good. Yes, to some extent, you can control the outcomes by following some rules. But one thing you must understand is that it is possible that you follow all rules, follow all principles, and you will still not get the right outcome. I'm just telling you the fact. I'm a person that believes so much in principles, I believe so much in rules, I believe so much in laws, but I'm still telling you that it is very, very possible that you follow all the rules, follow all the principles, and you still don't get the right outcomes. Now, let me just say, see, one thing is just we must just come to terms with is that life is just unfair. Every one of us went to school, right? And I don't know how many of us are fortunate to be in some classes whereby I would not say you are unfortunate, but you are very fortunate that the person leading you is not the person that reads the most. How many of us had that experience? I had that experience, especially in my uni days. The best student in class wasn't the person that reads the most. It wasn't the person that comes to class the most. It wasn't the most serious student in class. There were people that were reading for more hours. Yet at the end of the day, you will still get the best result. And that's just life. So nothing is guaranteed. But your vision will still require that what you take the action when there's no guarantee. But the problem many of us have is that because we are surrounded by distractions, because we are not getting the approval that we want, because there is no applause at the early stage of our vision, because we don't have any guaranteed outcome, we give up on our vision and they never see the daylight. But one thing I want you to know is that even though there is no applause, even though that thing looks impossible, you must still dare it. Because even the word impossible is actually screaming, I'm possible. If only. you will go for it. See, anything that we see in the world today and we celebrate, we applaud, is because someone was able to take it from the realm of intangibility or impossibility and brought it into the realm of possibility. That's why every one of us are saying this thing is possible. And I want you to understand is that you wouldn't have all that it takes before you start your vision. You will never be 100% ready before you begin. In fact, if you were 100% ready before beginning, it means that you were already late. And the opportunity might as well have been lost, or the maximum results wouldn't have been gotten. If you wait to you are 100% ready, then you are late. Clarity does not come before movement. Clarity comes as you move. Confidence comes as a result of repetition. Confidence does not come before starting. Competence comes from execution. It does not come from dreaming. If you want the perfect conditions, you will always be late in life. The audacity of vision is movement before certainty. Even though you don't have the clear picture, you don't have the clear image, please move. Even though you are not 100% sure of what you're seeing, of what you are viewing, please still go ahead and do those things. Because you will not be 100% clear when you start the journey. But as you progress in the journey, you begin to see better. You begin to see clearer. See, I think it is important I use the story of Abraham, right? When God called him, he said he should go come out of his father's lineage, come out of his nation. And what God told him was said, to a land that I will show you. Meaning that God demanded faith, and in this case, audacity from him before he started the journey. And because he was audacious enough, that was how he was able to plug it into God's plan for his life. God had that vision for him. He implanted that vision into his heart, but it took him the audacity to begin the journey. Many of us, we have stopped growing, we've stopped taking actions because we feel that we don't have clarity, we feel that the picture is not yet clear, we feel that we don't even understand what is demanded of us. But I want you to understand this evening that you can't even stand at the point of beginning to count all the cost that is demanded by your destiny. It is often said that before you begin a journey that you should sit and count the cost. But do you know that when you are preparing a budget, they always advise you that you should plan for miscellaneous. Why? Because you don't have control over everything that is going to happen. See, you don't have control over the external factors, but you have control over the internal factor. You don't have control about the validation of others, but you have control over your vision. You don't have control over the applause of other people, but you have control over the vision that has been placed in your heart. You don't have control over the confidence that they are going to give over, should I say confidence? No, let me still use the word applause, but you have control over your own confidence in the vision that you have in your heart. And I'm going to now go into how to bet an impossible vision, how to dare the impossible that is required for your destiny fulfillment. The first thing I would want you to do is to document the disturbance or the impossible. Just document the impossible. That's the first step. So when I mean that you should document the impossible, it means that you should write that thing that you feel that it is impossible. You should document and write clearly that vision that has been implanted in your heart. The book of Habakkuk, chapter 2 says, write the vision and make it plain, that he that reads it will run with it. So that thing that is making you angry, that thing that is disturbing you, that thing that is creating that feeling that there is more, please write it down. Don't discard it. That thing that people have mocked you about, that thing that has made you cry, that thing that has angered you, that thing that makes you so happy, that thing that excites you, write it down. Write it down. It may be irritating, it may look absurd, it may look impossible, but please just write them down. Regardless of how unrealistic it might look, it might be, just write them down. Then the next thing is to expand your exposure. One thing I always say is that every man is limited by what he does not know. I will always say that ignorance incarcerates while knowledge liberates. See, you cannot build what you cannot imagine, and you can't imagine what you've never seen. And when I mean seen, it does not necessarily mean that it is in the tangible realm or in the physical. If you can't see it in your mind's eye, then it can never be achieved. So, if everyone that you surround yourself are impossibility thinkers, are myopic in their viewpoints, are people that earn so little, are people that think so small, are people that attempt small things, are people that are always scared about doing things that they've never done before. What is going to happen is that your mind is going to readjust and recalibrate yourself to that level of your exposure. So you must consciously expose yourself, consciously re-educate yourself, because your exposure will expand your imagination. And when your imagination is expanded, your vision will also be expanded. Let me give you an example. When I wanted to carry out the project, one of the things I did was to read the Principles and Power of Vision by Miles Monroe. And by reading that book, it actually impacted upon me the confidence to pursue the vision. Now, I didn't stop at that. The next thing I did was to actually speak with friends that had done something similar in times past. So when I spoke to them, even though like I run different phases of the project, so what I did was that this friend has done something of sort of one of the kind of things I want to do. I spoke with this one. This other person has done something similar to the other part of the project I wanted to do. I spoke to him. So I was now able to combine their experiences, and that actually gave me the confidence to pursue my vision. So even though I thought it was impossible, because I had now exposed my mind and spoken with people that dwell in the realm of possibility, I've spoken with people whose past and my future ambition, it made me to actually see that what I am saying is not out of reach. That what I'm seeing is not impossible. Why? Because I exposed myself. So what do you do? At the point whereby you are having that vision, one of the things you need to do is to read from successful people, read their books, watch YouTube videos. I love documentaries. I love biopics. Things that explains and talks about how people achieved success. Why? Because it actually makes me to believe that I'm not crazy. It makes me to understand that what I'm also envisioning is possible. And one thing you will always observe that many of the things that you are actually imagining or the people that you're looking up to, also when they were starting, that thing that we are now celebrating, many people told them that it was impossible. And they also felt like this was weird and out of reach. But because they had the courage to pursue those visions, they were able to turn it into a reality. So when you listen to that kind of person, it will also give you confidence that yes, that thing that I'm imagining, that thing that I'm aspiring, it is possible. Also, surround yourself with visionaries. Chase away negative energy from you. Cross the people that always say the negative. Surround yourself with optimistic minds and cancel pessimistic people away from you. Don't let pessimists find themselves around you because their feelings, their thoughts, their imagination is contagious and are going to pass it on to you. But when you surround yourself with builders, with visionaries, with dreamers, it is also going to be passed upon you, and you're going to believe that yes, this thing I'm saying, this thing I'm thinking about, it is also possible. So you also need to consume content. I'm still talking about the second thing, which is expand your exposure. Consume content that challenges your current ceiling. Earlier today, I was speaking with one of my students when I was serving, and she was afraid of going to higher institution, like how she was already losing her confidence, right? Then we got to a point whereby, I told her that, see, one thing, after I was spoken to her, helped her to gain her confidence, I told her, I said, see, you must get in first class. And I'm not even saying that you must get a first class alone. You must be the best graduation student in your class, in your department, and not only in your department, even in your faculty, you must be the best student. And now, she now told me that someone told her, someone, because she was going to study English, someone told her that someone that she respects so much, in fact, a teacher, told her that it is very, very hard, almost impossible, to actually get a first class as an English student because of one excuse or the other. You know what I used to respond to? I said, see, this person is just telling you this thing as an excuse for his failure. Then I now gave her an example. I said, I mentioned someone's name, someone whom I connected her to, someone that graduated from the same department and the same school that she's going to, and graduated with the first class as the best graduation. I said, did this person graduate with the first class or no? Said the person graduated with the first class. So does it now mean that that thing, first class, is achievable? She said yes. She now told me, said, what I've said has helped her to overcome that limitation. So there are some people that it's not really that they are wicked, in quotes, but because they couldn't achieve it, they dared it. They envisioned to do something that no one else has done. But because they failed at it, they will now pass on their experience over to you and make you feel as if you dare it, you are also going to fail. And I wrote something 2 weeks ago. I said, never let people's experience limit your vision. It is their experience, it is their truth, and it is true, but it is not your own truth. So the fact that they found it impossible does not mean that you will also find it impossible. If you can learn what they did that made it the dream unachievable, then you can achieve the vision. And I will always say that don't only learn from a man's success, learn from a man's failure, because that's how you can actually succeed at where they failed. So expose yourself, interact with people. So the next thing you need to do is to actually think in 10x, then reverse engineer. I don't know if you get this. Think in 10x. So when I say 10x, 10, then letter X, then reverse engineer. So the problem is that many of us will think in survivor, but vision is not about survivor. It is challenging survivor and entering into prosperity. That's what vision is all about. Vision is not smallness, it is greatness. But many of us, the way we think in limitations. Vision think in surplus. So if you want to actually achieve your dream or dare impossible that is required by your destiny, think in 10x. So what I mean is that ask yourself, if this succeeded beyond my imagination, what would it look like? So what I'm saying is that if you are able to achieve your vision, who would you have become? Of what impact will it make? Of what contribution will it make? So even though you are at a certain point in your life, even though you are still surrounded. Sorry, I don't know what's wrong with my network today. It's just, take me off and on. So when you're taking in 10x, you are imagining that you already achieved that success and you're already seeing the repercussion or the benefit of that success. So when you now think in that position, you now reverse engineer. So when you reverse engineer, you now think, what skills must I master to reach this point? What system must I build to become this person? What network must I make to be able to achieve this success? What discipline must I develop to achieve this? What identity must I grow into? So the thing is what? You think in 10x, then reverse engineer. So what in essence is saying that you envision yourself becoming that vision or achieving that vision, then you now travel back and say, okay, based on my current situation, these are the sacrifices, these are the costs that I must pay for me to achieve that. So the first thing you need to do is what? Document or write the vision. The second thing you need to do is what? Expand your exposure. And the third thing is what? Think in 10x, then reverse engineer. The next thing is to do is what? Start before clarity is perfect. So clarity is not earned, it is granted. You will not see the entire staircase, but you just need to see the next step, then you climb to the top. If the staircase is very, very high, like maybe you are talking about like 10 story building, right? You know you can't. There's no how you'll be able to see the last floor, or yes, the last floor, the topmost floor from the ground floor. But if you are consistent enough by taking the next step, step after step, step after step, you're going to reach the end of the staircase. So you just need to begin to see the next step. The first version or the first step that you take is not going to be perfect. You are not going to get it right at first. In fact, when you begin, the results will be so minute, but you have to continue. You have to take it step by step, 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 and you continue to make definite steps. You begin to take steps little by little. You become closer at your dream, closer at your dream, closer at your dream, closer at your dream. Using that project as an example, also, we started with my PPA and I think roughly 150 students. But when we're done, we had impacted close to 6,000 students. So what if I felt like 150 is too small compared to 6,000 and I never started? It means that I was never going to get into that 6,000. So one thing you must understand is that if you are faithful with little in the execution of your vision, you bring yourself into large or more or greater or greatness. So perfection will always delay your destiny. You can't be perfect at the first start. In fact, if you are doing something at the onset and you are always getting it perfect, it means that you are dwelling in the realm of mediocrity. Meaning that you are not even exhausting what you are capable of. The truth about it is that what? It won't be perfect. And you must embrace your imperfections. The next thing is to upgrade your identity, which is the fifth thing. It is very, very important. Your vision always requires that you upgrade your identity. You can't pursue an extraordinary result with ordinary habits. You must constantly ask yourself, who must I become to be able to bet this vision? Do I need to be more disciplined? Do I need to be more strategic? Do I need to be more emotionally resilient? Do I need to be more knowledgeable? Do I need to be more structured? One thing you must understand is that you will not rise to the level of your goals. You will always rise to the level of your identity. Your result is a direct reflection of who you are. So if you don't build yourself, your result will never see the light of the day. But when you build yourself, when you have a change of identity, everything will fall into place. Apostle Joshua Selman will always say that everything that you are looking for is also looking for you, but not the version of you. So what do you do? Build yourself, change, adjust, realign yourself so that you become the version of person that can best the vision that you have for yourself. The next thing is to build proactive system. What I mean is that by this is that your vision is very fragile. So you need to protective system rather. Build protective systems. Your vision is very fragile. So you need to protect it. And what are the things you need to protect about your vision? You have to protect your focus. You have to protect your time. You have to protect your energy. You have to protect your environment. Not everybody's idea is valuable to your vision. Not every environment will help you to incubate your vision. When you enter into some environment, the baby that is leaping inside your womb will turn into miscarriage. There are some things that is going to drain your energy, and you must understand that at the point of birthing, you need maximum energy. I know many of us might have watched it in a movie when a woman is actually trying to give birth. The doctor will say, push, push. So she has to summon every energy within her to push. That's the same thing with your vision. So let bad energy, let it go far away from you. Guard your vision jealously on it until it becomes a reality. Then the last thing I'm going to say about the strategies you can use to dare the impossible is to embrace the lonely phase. Every vision that you have has an incubation period. Before you begin to receive applause, there will be periods of silence. Before you are recognized, you go into the season of obscurity. Before the results, there will be doubts. So don't misinterpret your obscurity as failure. Your incubation period is a season of preparation. Before you will be shown forth to your world, you must be kept in the womb. Before a baby comes into the world, she must be incubated in the womb. So those periods of loneliness, those periods of silence are needed for your vision to metamorphose. So you must embrace the lonely phase. It is not always easy, it is difficult, but you should embrace it. So you must understand is that your vision is going to cost you a whole lot. It will cost you comfort, it will cost you convenience, it will cost you sleepless nights, it will cost you certain relationship. You have to give up on some people so that you can accept other people into your life. It will cost you immediate gratification. But if you are not ready to pay those prices, do you know what is going to happen? You are going to regret it at the end, knowing fully well that had I known, I would have done this. And you must understand that the regret is more even expensive than the effort or the cost. 10 years from now, you will either be thinking, I'm glad I tried, or you will either say, I wish I had tried. I wished I had paid the sacrifice. So you must leave tonight's session with a firm decision that I'm going to go out and dare the impossible. I'm going to go out and do it, even though it is not easy, even though nobody has ever done it, even though it's going to cost me a whole lot. But because my destiny requires it, I'm going to dare it. Regardless of what anybody says, regardless of what anybody feels, regardless of how anybody talks about me, I'm going to go for it. So you must decide tonight and say, I'm going for it. I'm daring the impossible. I'm going to be audacious about my vision and I'm going to achieve it. Understand, the world does not reward the most talented, it rewards the most decisive. There's something bigger than your comforts. Attempt something that is going to stretch you this year. Build something that is going to scare you. Start before you feel ready because destiny does not respond to hesitation, it responds to audacity. See, when you become audacious, people are going to tell you that you are becoming prideful, proud, or arrogant, but that's not it. It is obedience to that, to the inner longings, to the passions that you have within you. If you are going to live this life, then live it boldly. There's no need for you to live in fear when you can actually embrace audacity. So this is where we're going to stop tonight, and we're going to have another session next week, the same time, 8 p.m. on Friday. So if you have any question, you can please ask, and if you gained anything, you can drop it in the comment section. I'm ready to learn from you. I'm ready to receive your feedback. What did you learn from tonight's session? And if you have any question, can please drop them, and I will be glad to answer them. Okay, in the absence of none, we'll call it a night. Thank you so much for joining tonight. See you next week, Friday at 8 p.m. Thank you.